are listening to the Balancing Act podcast. Here's your hosts, Jamie Wonko and Joe Vitale.
Hello, and welcome back to the Balancing Act podcast. I am Jamie Wonko. I'm here with Joseph Vitale. Hello, Mr. Vitale. I like your pink shirt.
Hello, thank you. Are we recording? Did we say the thing? We are officially recording.
I'm trying to stop saying that, but yes, we are.
Yes. Hey, friend, how are you? Yes, I'm
I'm-
in my little pink cover-up thing.
Mhm.
I am freezing. I'm freezing.
We just put the heat on.
We have not put the heat on,
Yeah.
but I know it's going to be happening. By the time this episode airs, the heat is on. The heat's going to be on
the street.
Yes, because I am a wuss when it comes to the cold. I have, thankfully, to my lovely bride last year, got me a battery-operated heated jacket off of Amazon, which I love dearly. It is one of my. You know how your kitchen is your true love? That jacket is my true love. When I'm outside and that battery's on and I'm all warm and toasty, I'm like, yeah, I love it.
Battery operated. What will they think of next?
Yes. Back in my day.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Speaking of freezing cold.
It's never too cold for our next guest.
Yes.
Our guest today is someone who, and Joe, you're gonna know this, and you'll feel it quite instantly. Is someone who has some of just the best energy and just so wonderful to be around. Her name is Jodi Edwards. So let's just bring her on out.
Yeah. Hey, Jodi Edwards.
Hi, guys.
Oh,
Hey, friend. How are you?
Nice for you to say.
Oh, the best.
I don't know if my
energy.
husband would always say that, but that's so sweet of you to say.
I mean,
Yes.
Your husband. Fun fact, my mother has the most inappropriate crush on Jodi's husband.
Oh, okay.
He's a tall drink of water.
She
Oh.
just can't.
Tall
She's
drink of water.
every
Okay.
party, every event. It would always be like, "Do you think Jodi's husband's coming?" She just loved herself some Rob.
He is good looking. He is. You can't
Good for
deny
you.
it.
You can't.
Good
You
for you.
You
can't.
really can't.
Jody's not
No.
even denying it. She's like, yep, I'm good. Yes.
Maybe that's where she gets her positive energy from.
There you go.
Possibly.
Flare-ups.
So Jodi is the entrepreneur / proprietor of a growing ice cream chain in New Jersey called Nicholas Creamery. So shout out to Nicholas Creamery and all of its many locations. Jamie and I are big fans of Team Ice Cream all the time. And we also have frequented your establishment. So it is not only delicious, but unique. And we definitely want to talk about your business and other stuff like that as we get into our episode today. But it's very exciting to have you. Little New Jersey royalty here, I guess. I don't know. We're getting there, but it's fun to have you.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here.
So here on the Balancing Act, we focus on probably two main topics, which are teaching and working, in public school, and then also parenting, and how those two things have changed over time, and how certain avenues of parenting have changed, student behavior, and how that affects everyone. And so one of the reasons we wanted to bring you on, aside from just how wonderful you are, is that you are an employer of teenagers. And so not only are you someone who is a parent, right? You have children yourself, and then you also work full time, and so you have a lot to manage and balance. So we talk about people who have a lot of balls up in the air and exactly how you balance and manage that. So any tips or tricks for any of those experiences that you might have, as well as what it is to make an employable child. So how do we parent, or how do we teach our teens to be employable?
You know what? It's actually a subject I'm very passionate about. I would say I'm one of 6 kids. And so my parents, we had to work from the time we were 13, 14 years old. I grew up working in the same, right?
So let me ask, what was your first job? What'd you do?
Working in an ice cream shop.
Oh, well, that I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
I had a paper route when I was like 11.
Okay.
I was like 11 and I had a paper route. That was
Yeah.
before you like when you had like the bike after school and the basket on the
Mm.
front. I want my $2, and you would chase
This is
after people.
crazy, but I was a nanny, like babysitter. But it was like when I think back, it was the early 90s, and it's like, what were we doing, people? Like, I had these little kids, and I had to take them after school, and I can very distinctly remember like having to make them dinner, and it was like, tonight is a ham steak, and I had to like make the dinner and like make the sides, and they were really young, and I think like, what in the heck? What was I doing? I mean, and I thought it was amazing, but I was not more than 11 years old.
That's
Anyway,
so funny.
Making dinner after.
If I'm being honest, my first job was babysitting, and my dad at the time, he owned a wholesale beer distributor. One of his truck drivers needed a babysitter for him to be able to go to work. Me and my older sister would switch off. They eventually fired me. And then my sister was mad because she had to get up every morning at 5:30 to watch them.
Oh my
And
goodness.
they fired me because I fed their kids too many snacks and we watched too much TV.
That's in this day and age, that's like a parenting blue ribbon
Yeah,
in this day.
yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted you about finding out what your first job
First
was.
job.
But
No,
you were saying, sorry.
I worked in an ice cream shop. I always loved doing it. I had the fondest memories of it. I think I always loved working from, like I said, from being like a young child. And some of my fondest memories are at work. I always worked with my friends. We were, even in college, I would waitress and then go out after waitressing. It was just always part of what I did. And when my partner is Nicholas Harari. And so I had done his marketing he owned the top restaurant in New Jersey for, I think it was named for 20 years. It was Restaurant Nicholas, a fine dining restaurant. And he always made his own ice cream. I always worked in an ice cream shop. And I said, we should do this, together and do, homemade small batch ice cream, switch out flavors and whatnot. I'm getting to this point. He lived in Atlantic Highlands. I lived in Fairhaven. We both had kids at the same age. And we both wanted, one of the reasons we did it, we wanted a place where both of our kids could work and grow up and work. Because so many nowadays, it really is hard to find your kid a job at, I don't know if you guys have tried at like 14 years old, besides babysitting.
We have talked about that over the summer. My kids applied at various places. They applied for the town. They tried to find different things. And right now they're working. They picked something up in September where they're working as like youth counselors for the township. There's like a place that like kids can go after school and they do like homework help, and the kids can play games and they do like different activities with them and stuff. But it's a good job for them. It's right after school. It's still 6:00. But it was tough for them to find something because everyone's like, we want you to have experience to get a job. But how do you get a job without experience? It's that.
And they're 16. So,
and they're 16. Yeah.
That makes a big difference too.
Yeah.
Well, I know we were
Yeah.
hiring 15-year-olds until we stopped because they can't work after, I think, 8:00 at night, which doesn't work for ice cream, like when we're open later than that. Yeah. Also in our shops, I mean, if you go into right now, we have over 80 kids on our staff.
Wow.
We have 5 shops. We're opening our 6th shop next year. And so between the 5 of them, there's 80 kids. And I would say 90% of them are still in high school.
Wow.
These kids, people can say what they want about this younger generation. I do all the hiring. These kids, they run the show at Nicholas Creamery. And if you ever have gone in on a summer night and lines are out the door, these kids are hustling. Their customer service is out of this world. It's really impressive what they can do. We're in and out, but by no means are we with them all night, standing by them while all of this is going on. They're running the money. They're running absolutely everything. And I would challenge anyone who talks about this generation and how, they feel people worry about them for all different reasons. They think that their social skills aren't great or whatnot. I would challenge them to go into a Nicholas Creamery on a summer night. And let me tell you, it gives you hope, because what our team can do is absolutely incredible. It really is.
So are you allowed to say where the newest shop is going to be?
Yeah,
Or
it's opening in Wall Township.
okay. So
that's
still
great.
not over the bridge. Over
Still
the
not over the bridge yet.
All right.
Over
Yeah.
the bridge.
Yes.
We need
Yes.
better ice cream.
Yeah, I
because
like that.
there are people that live down that in the building that we work in. There are people that live down in that area, and there are people that like I think actually, Jamie, I think you did. You got the which one did you get? You got the rainbow cookie one for
come on.
one of our teachers.
That's a juggernaut.
Yeah.
Flavor. People go wild.
I have been wanting to try the Jersey corn one, but I didn't get a chance to get down there. But
I'll tell you a secret.
Yes.
No one knows. It's coming back for Thanksgiving.
Yay! Oh, we got this. We got the scoop. No pun intended. That's why I love me a dad joke. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I actually got a there was like a Thanksgiving ice cream that Baskin Robbins had last year that I made my kids try. And you actually, the non-trier over here, my friend Jamie actually tried it and was like, no, I don't like this.
No.
It was like a sweet
It had
potato
cornbread in it.
The cornbread was good. It was like
we do every year we do a sage cornbread stuffing for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Oh
Nice.
no, there was a chocolate peanut butter pie that I may have eaten the entire thing by myself.
Nice.
Was it not last Christmas, maybe the Christmas before? That was
yes. You all have ice
so
cream with bourbon in it because that's my drink of choice, which I absolutely love.
We do.
Which is great. And so what are some of I mean, now that we're on to this now we're talking ice cream here. Now that we're in our wheelhouse, what are some of your more popular flavors? I know you rotate things out, but you have some certain things that of course are there all the time.
We do.
Right?
I some of our classic flavors would be bourbon chocolate chunk is one. You know, we have our Tahitian vanilla. We have good old fashioned chocolate, mint chocolate chunk, strawberry. Our biggest sellers are our peanut butter palooza. That's a homemade peanut butter ice cream with Reese's peanut butter cups and Oreos. And then we also our other huge seller, it's called brown sugar cookie dough. And so
I think I've had that, yeah.
Yeah, it's brown sugar ice cream with the cookie dough balls in it. That's a really popular flavor. Nice. And then you bring up Jersey corn. We have, we're always rotating in new flavors, but we bring back seasonally things that people now really ask for and love. The 7-layer Italian cookie has become so huge. The rainbow cookie. Jersey corn is one. We have in the springtime, we do a honey lavender, and we do like a buttermilk lemon blueberry. And then right now would be Delicious Orchards apple cider. We do local collaborations with businesses. And then for Thanksgiving, this is a big one. It's Delicious Orchards apple crumb pie. And we just literally throw their apple crumb pies in our ice cream. And that's the flavor. And then we also make Delicious Orchards apple crumb ice cream pie with the ice cream that we use from their pies, which is so great too. So
I'm gonna weigh 900 pounds.
Joe, does apple speak to your heart? Does your heart say apple?
I think people that like pumpkin pie over apple pie should get out. I don't know. It's not a thing. Pumpkin pie, okay, fine. Like everyone's pumpkin spice stuff. It's like it's not my thing. So yeah, like that kind of stuff is amazing.
Okay.
I love it. I think that all sounds absolutely wonderful.
I can remember eating the cookie. What's the name? What is the 7-layer you said?
We call it Italian rainbow cookie, and we've also done collaborations.
Italian rainbow cookie.
Talercio's in Middletown.
Yeah, Talercio's is another Italian.
Italian market. Those guys are incredible.
Yeah.
Eric is just the nicest guy. We've also done Talercio's Italian cookie platter. And that is, we throw in
I've seen that one, yeah.
cookies, and then we throw in this beautiful, it's like a raspberry powdered cookie that they give us. It's a type of Italian cookie. I can't think of the exact name. And then it's in almond ice cream with chocolate chunks. It's just delicious.
Yeah. I mean, I can like eating it and being like, oh, the ice cream. It's like, that it says almond cookie flavored ice cream, but then your brain does this like, well, what? Like how is this happening?
Yeah.
It's my favorite. That's my favorite for sure.
It's so
And you also talked about, which is something that, that we try and do on the podcast to not only bring people in the education space, but people like yourself. Like we try to do partnerships that we think are going to, grow our audience, get more people in the door, so to speak. And you've done, you did a couple, I know, like Talercio's, for example, they've done things with Mav's Top Buns, which is down in the area there.
Yep.
They've been a big, like, viral company that's kind of started out, right?
We've done collaborations with Mavs. We've
Yeah.
done quite a few, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then I know that Talercio's is also done with, like, Eric LeGrand. It's like, hey, he's got a bourbon. You could switch that bourbon into your ice cream.
You've missed it. We've actually done Eric LeGrand. We did last fall. We did a LeGrand bourbon. Oh gosh, I want to say it was a maple pecan bourbon maple pecan.
Yep, and I missed it. That's why you need to open one of these suckers up here north of the bridge,
over
baby.
the bridge.
Over the
bridge.
We're working on it.
I know.
That would be amazing. Anyway, no, it's funny you should mention about, you talked about hiring teenagers and stuff like that, because I literally today had a conversation with my daughter about her work schedule. She put in for her work schedule, because right now she plays a sport. She plays high school soccer. And actually would kind of ask you for your advice, kind of put you on the spot here if you don't mind. So she came home and the schedule has changed for soccer. And they scheduled her. So she looked at the schedule in advance. We got it in the beginning of October. And she said, okay, here's the day that I'm going to be able to work. She's supposed to work a number of days, but because she's in a sports season, they said, hey, you can work wherever you can, 1 day a week here, 1 day a week there, 2 days there, whatever. And she came home and she's like, well, they scheduled a make-up soccer game or an extra game for Thursday, and I have to work. And she's like, well, I don't want to like switch with somebody because I don't want to ask them to switch or like change because I've done that already. And now I don't know what to do. So I'm going to skip the game and I'm just going to go to work because I told them that I would work. And I was trying to give her advice of like, okay, well, you can at least have the conversation with your boss to be like, hey, like from her perspective, what would you as an employer want that conversation to look like?
I can tell you this. Like I said, I do all the interviewing and the hiring for the creameries. And I always, I sit and basically talk for 45 minutes and tell them, our process and how we do things. In that conversation, I let them know, and how I do the schedule is, I just sent out a text to all the kids today and said, by noon tomorrow, put in your schedule request from, I think it was November 2nd through November 17th. I honor any time they went off. I don't care the reason why they went off. I want them all to have their lives. After that schedule comes out, it's their responsibility to cover their shift. And I say to them, I can't cover your shift. If I cover your shift, it's like having 80 kids. And I'm going to have 80 kids contacting me that they have a date, they want to go out with their friends, all the reasons why. That being said, I talk out of both sides of my mouth, because if your daughter contacted me and said, Jodi, this, and they do it, Jodi, I have this game, whatnot. Number one, we use a app that allows them to give up their shift, right? And another kid can grab. It's called 7 shifts. So I would never be able to do this if it wasn't for this app. So they can give up their shift, which allows another kid to grab it. So any of the other 80 kids, they can contact. I also see through this app, they'll start messaging, and let's say something like what with your daughter in a game, they start saying, I'll switch with anybody. I see people offering people $20 to take their shift. Like they'll do anything to get rid of their shift.
I mean, I felt like from her perspective, like this one's a little different. You know what I mean? Because okay, you gave them your availability. You said you would work, but you also did tell them when you got hired, I'm in the middle of a sports season and I'll be finished up.
I don't think that matters though.
Yeah.
I agree with you, but at the same point, listen, if you're asking me in the end, and hopefully none of the kids see this, in the end, I would cover their shift. Like I would definitely cover their shift, or I would switch things around. I also usually have a floater on that I have an extra person on an evening, so I can put them in a different creamery if needed. It's one of the things, if you work at the creamery, you have to be willing to work It won't be for the Wall location. That's too far, but you have to be willing to work at all 5 locations. And this would be this is a perfect reason why. I need to be able to
that's very interesting. Yeah.
I need to be able to float everybody around, because if your daughter comes to me with a situation like this, I want to help them. I have 2 teenagers of my own. I want them to go to school. I want them to enjoy every homecoming, every football game, every sport that they play. And I recognize if I do for them, they'll like, if I send out, guys, I need somebody, like, and 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get responses as well. So if I were your daughter, I would have definitely reached out and said her predicament, because I don't know her. I don't know what, their rules are for that specific business, but I don't know. I think when you work with teenagers, and especially if you have teenagers of your own, you really do understand. But I will say, when I tell them things, I come off more of a hard ass, because like I said, if not, I'm going to have 80 kids contacting.
Yeah, no, that completely makes sense.
Open our doors,
that completely makes sense. And just from talking to her about it, she has my curse, which is she likes to be a people pleaser. She doesn't like anyone to be unhappy with her, or she doesn't like to make anyone unhappy. So I'm like, okay, well, but you have to put yourself first at some point too. And she's okay with not going to the game. She's like, I just won't go. It's an extra game. They added it late. It's Tuesday. I have to work Thursday.
Can she switch with anyone?
Well, she already talked. The one thing she did do was she talked to her coach and said, look, here's the situation that I'm in.
I don't know that she has to do all that talking, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think she has to reach out. Don't they have an app?
No, I don't necessarily know that they have an app, but she could. I asked her, like, hey,
Drew works for the township and he has an app.
I told
it's called Sling.
I'll have to ask that. But I told her,
what is
like,
it called?
You could
Sling.
I told
it's
her,
for
like,
the lifeguards. He works as a lifeguard in our township, and that's what they use.
Yeah.
That's why I was like waiting before when you said
the
similar, but like so like last week was homecoming, and he works only during band season. He only works on Thursdays, but homecoming was Thursday, so he was able to just go into Sling and put up his shift, and within like 5 minutes, someone grabbed the shift.
Exactly, and that's the main thing too. I told her, like, hey, you do want to reach out to. Excuse me. Do you want to reach out to people, like see if anybody wants to switch with you? And the other person is one of the other employees, lives in our house. But he's already worked a lot of shifts this week, and he has his own like school responsibilities and stuff too. So, but anyway, I mean, it's going to work out. I just wanted to have that conversation. Like, what would it look like as as an employer? Because I think it's important. We all get in binds, like in our jobs as professionals, where it's like, hey, I gotta go. Like, I got an issue. I need to leave. And you do that. But for kids, I think they're reluctant to have those conversations because they think like, oh, it's going to reflect bad on me. I'm going to lose my job. I'm like, okay, well, you're not putting dinner on the table for a family of 5, right?
I say that to Drew all the time.
Yeah, and that's why I took your line. That's why I took your line.
Too is when you do have certain kids who will contact me right away being like, can you help me? And I definitely try to empower them though first to say, like, have you contacted everyone before? Don't make me go do your work of covering for you. Empower yourself. Yes, it might feel a little uncomfortable to have to contact all these people, but that's life, and that's kind of what you have to do. So
and I really appreciate that approach as a parent, because there's the idea of, and we're probably going to talk about this on a future episode, of learned helplessness, right? Like they get kids get to a point where they are like, I need help. And it's normally immediate after not looking at directions, or from a classroom setting, looking at directions, or looking at the rubric, or asking a classmate before, or Googling the answer before they ask somebody and throw their hand up in the air and say, I need help on this. Because someone will do it for them. That's why I think it's good that you're taking that approach, because, I mean, isn't that a quality you want anyone that works with you to have, to be resourceful, to be able to be a problem solver?
Sounds really hard. I would never hire a kid that came off like that. Like, to me, this type of job, there is a lot of autonomy in the job. And like I said, me, Nicholas, Melissa, who's his wife, and another partner, like, we're not there with them all the time. We have, key holders who are, either college kids or, in their 20s. that they might be there, but to work at the Creamery, you really need to be a self-motivated go-getter. I'll tell you what else entices them, and they've found with me too. I do all the scheduling for all the creameries, and so they're hustlers. They want to make money, and so they make money on tips. And so I've also found, depending on the creamery, some creameries need 3 people, some need 4, some need 2, but they have to be really strong workers to be able, employees that I don't know about you guys, but I don't mind standing in a line at any establishment as long as you see the employees back there hustling. But if the employees are talking and hanging out, that's when you get angry that there's only 2 people and so I've also found the kids are really funny. They'll be like, Jodi, we only need 2 people here. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, it depends on the people that are going to be there and how quick you guys want to move. And if you want to go for it, I feel like that too. They're very money motivated, these teenagers, and like what they want to make it worth their while when they're there. Yeah. And so, to your point, when you say about hiring that kind of kid or what we would do, I'll be honest with you, you train 3 nights at the Creamery. If the 3rd night we felt like it was that kind of person who was like throwing up their hands and needing that kind of like constant, here's what you do, here's what you do. If they're not picking it up, generally we would probably say it's not the best fit for them. And, it's just not, it wouldn't be a good fit, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot for them to navigate. It's a lot, I think, too. So Joe has twins that are the same age as Drew. So they're juniors.
Okay. Yeah.
And so Jodi has a son that's a senior this year. Right?
Yep.
He's a senior. Oh my goodness. And then a daughter that's a sophomore in college. So I think that there's probably I know it must, and I think this a lot about Joe, like it must be crazy that your like oldest children are the same, like there's 2 at the same time.
Yes.
And, so like, I know, like, even just going through some of these experiences with Drew, that when the girls do it, it'll be different because I will have already sort of like navigated these waters with him.
Yep.
But then there's also like the element of like him being able to sort of help them and like model in that way also.
Yes.
But we've had to do a lot of, so like Drew started working as a lifeguard. You are allowed to train as a lifeguard. You can't be officially certified until your 15th birthday. Okay. So about a month before he did the training, he was certified on his birthday. And so he did that his whole summer going into his sophomore year of high school. And then like last year throughout the whole school year. And then this summer again. And so in the beginning, there was a lot of how do I write the email? Like, what am I putting in the email? Or, what should this message sound like? Things like that. Yep. And, and now it's definitely not quite so much anymore. But I think because of the systems that they have, especially like, I think there's like 90, I think he was telling me there's like 90 lifeguards in the app Sling, something like that. So I'm not sure, what the township does for the kids that work after school. But you just wonder sometimes, but it is a lot of like, do that on your own, figure it out on your own.
You want them to. I mean, listen, like I said, I'm one of 6 kids, and that's how you learn, is doing it on your own. I'll tell you when I hire, I can tell you who I won't hire when I do the hiring and tips for parents. I got to tell you, if you walk in, and it's happened, if you walk in with your child for their interview, I am not hiring your child. There is no way I'm doing it. If you're contacting me on your child's behalf to get a job, I'm not hiring your child. Like, if they want the job, they should be reaching out. And if you're sitting there writing the email with them or whatever, that's great. And you're helping them in that way. But if you don't trust your child to be able to sit through an interview or whatnot, your child is not ready. Right. Or you're not ready to let go of your child to have a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny. We went to the bank. Drew actually owed me some money. And so it was like, we're going to get this money, and oh yeah, in a couple of days. And it was like, no, like, Mommy needs more money. Thank you very much. And we went to the bank, and I was like, where are the tellers? There's just like
Oh,
certain
yeah.
things in life where I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
The bank
Huh?
has completely changed.
The bank.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Completely
oh,
different.
dude,
Yeah.
I don't even know how to help you even like, how do we get the money? Does anybody work here? And it's like one of those, like, because my bank is like a credit union. So it's extremely like old fashioned. There are
Yeah.
like women tellers always in the front. I was like, oh, so I think sometimes it's like, we're learning together.
We're learning together. We're learning together.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you want your kid to go in and do an interview. And even if they don't do great in the interview, that in itself is a great experience that
Yeah,
they're learning from.
That's
And they're
part of
learning that
the
rejection.
learning process.
Yeah, if they're learning what went right, what didn't right. I had a kid, he did not have a good interview. He was distracted the whole time. He was looking over my shoulder. He wasn't really paying attention. And I wrote after, he said, please let me know if I got the job. And I wrote after, I don't think it's going to be a good fit. And wrote, very nicely the kind of typical thing that I wrote. And he wrote back a week later and he said, I keep thinking about this. Like, what did I do wrong? And I told him, I said, you seem disinterested. And I didn't, you were very distracted and disinterested. And he wrote back a beautiful response. Like, it was just, he nailed it and what he said and why he was distracted. And if I would give him this chance, he did the whole thing.
That's great. Can I ask why he said he was if you don't want to share, I understand.
No,
but,
that's okay. I think he said distract. He just had things on his mind from school and whatnot, but he really wanted this job. And I was like, you bet. With the response he gave, and that he was that motivated to reach out and ask what he did wrong because he wanted to learn from it. He didn't know if I was going to hire him back or not. But to me, that says everything, that like, he's ready. If you're willing to go that extra mile, I just think it's so important. I think I'm a parent, and I think we have buffered our kids so much from any type of hurt sorry, let me turn up my phone quick. Buffered our kids so much from real life and like what happens. And I just think it's important that they learn it all and feel it all. And I'm speaking now as a mom. It's so hard to watch. It's so hard to navigate and listen when they're crying or they fail in something. But my God, it's part of life, and they need to experience all of it.
Yeah.
I think it's so important.
My wife always says, if you don't ask the question, then you always know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
Yep.
for that young man who decided to reach out, like, hey, like if he wouldn't have asked that question, he probably wouldn't have been given that opportunity. Let's be very honest.
Yeah.
Right. But because that's how the universe played it out for him. Right.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, like, sometimes no is an answer. I mean, not sometimes. No is an answer. Like, if you hear no, that's not that there's something wrong with you, or there's something there's something that's broken. Like, the idea that no is like can't be said to someone. I think we also need to get past that too as young people. Like, I told my daughter when she was applying things, like, look, you're going to be told no. You're not going to get every job that you apply to. I don't get every job that I apply to. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And I'm sure none of us have, or we wouldn't be where we are right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's something that we try and teach our kids, but sometimes it's a difficult message to get across because, like you said, you see them broken and hurting, and you want to fix it, but you can't.
No.
Yeah. No.
And so you said you do the schedule for all the creameries, and you work on the collaborations for all the creameries. And we know that you had some chicken in the oven at the beginning of the episode. So how do you balance your responsibilities? In a week, in a day? What are some of the things that you do for to find some balance for yourself?
You know what? I feel like being very honest, some days are better than others for sure, of what I'm balanced, how well I'm balancing. I think that work has become just integrated, and it's just become integrated in what I do. The beauty of my day-to-day work life is that I have flexibility and I make my own schedule. And, the downside of it is that I don't really have a schedule, and that means it's just ongoing. And so, balancing, I could have done a better job in hindsight balancing, you know, when my kids were little and whatnot, I tend to become all consumed when I'm like into a passion project, you know, with the creameries or whatnot. But you know, I can flip side it and say the positive of that is my kids saw me work really hard on something that I really loved, and they saw it come to a fruition, which I love that too. I'm lucky. I have a great, handsome husband.
That Mr. Edwards, that smoke show that he is.
I
Oh,
know.
God.
I have no idea what he looks like.
I know.
I
He's
know,
no-
you know, Joe's going to
there's
be like,
no-
let me see a picture of him.
Yeah, he's no Nick Ferroni. There's a callback. Okay.
Oh, no.
There's
Yeah.
no like real
Yeah.
gender roles in my house. Like there's no real traditional gender roles. Like we both cook. I'll tell you what almost saved our marriage. Seriously, that like where I was going crazy. I was really bitter. I would come home from work and then I'd be doing dishes and I'd be doing laundry, which anyone knows those are the ongoing chores in a
It
house
never
that
ends.
you just do it and then there's another pile or there's another load.
You will
And-
never be lonely because laundry will always be there for you.
Oh my God.
That
Especially
is my
in this
line.
house.
Yes.
But we one day, I don't know where this came from. We said from now on, Rob does all dishes. I do all laundry. We cannot say to each other, Rob a lot of days won't do the dishes, the dinner dishes until the next morning. I can't say a word about it if dishes are in the sink overnight. Just like he can't say if he sees a load of laundry and it's not folded yet, like we are in charge of our own chores and the other person cannot comment on those chores. And I got to tell you, it sounds so silly. It has been the biggest game changer. Like
I love that.
it took two major things and just split it in half. Which sounds really super silly.
It doesn't though, because I had a secretary at my school when I was getting married, and she, you know, I'm going to give you some advice. I was like, yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And this was 19
And this
years
is very
ago.
good advice.
And
Listen
this
up,
is really
people.
good advice. This is like when I have to go to a shower and I have to write, like, you know, and they ask you.
Yeah.
Jason did have an aunt once who wrote like cook naked, which I do think is like the funniest advice, but that's
And
not
terrifying.
usually right. It's like, oh, a little dangerous, but that's not what I write. What I write is the advice that I got from Abby Campoli, which was never do anything in the first 6 months of marriage that you don't want to do for the rest of your life. And it is so true, right? It's just because like the niceties go out the window and it's like, oh man, like I still have to. So I had said to Jason, you know, I think this advice is great. What do you want to do? And he was living in his own apartment at the time and he was like, yeah, I'll do the laundry. And I was like, awesome. And he doesn't like to cook not even a little bit. And so like I pretend I'm like, I don't know what the buttons do on this machine because I just don't, I walk right past it. And now it's like, you know, we had the first child and the two more, and it doesn't matter how much. And he has a routine, like what days he does the whites and then what day he does the towels. And he has this whole routine and he does all of the laundry. And it's so great because I would never, every once in a while, you know, if I want to like, you know, be really like, I put a load in for you, know, but really like very rarely does that happen.
And we're back to canoodling. Yeah. So no,
that's romance around these parts.
Honestly, that is romance.
Acts of
It really
service.
is.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
that's definitely good advice for balancing things. Is
So
fine.
do you set aside time for yourself? Like, is there something in particular that you need to do? I know some people meditate, some people journal.
You know, I used to work out like crazy and I've stopped. I've just adopted a much more gentler morning schedule. Like it used to be, I would get up with the kids and I would go to the gym and I would come home and I would shower and I'd run out the door with my hair soaking wet. I'm running out of batteries here.
Oh no.
I would run out the door with my hair soaking wet and it just felt frantic and chaotic and not good. And so it sounds funny. I started walking instead. I'm walking my dog and I go to Stevenson Park in Monmouth County, which is like a super secret dog park where like, it's not really a dog park, but it's basically these fields. And I grew up on a farm and I pretend I'm in Pennsylvania and I walk along with my dog. And like, I feel like that's become my like quiet
Yep.
thinking my time for sure.
That's great.
Yeah,
Which
that
is-
Joe,
which
do
is-
you know that park?
I do not actually.
Oh,
I
okay.
do not,
Joe
no.
always, in the Vitale family, they always have 2 Goldens at the same time. Like it's always a thing.
I have a golden.
Yeah,
You do?
and they,
See,
aw.
that's why we're so
Yeah.
connected. I'll have
And
to
they're
show you
service
pictures
dogs,
later.
so they bring them like all over the place.
Oh,
And
Yeah,
God,
yeah,
I'm so
yeah.
jealous.
They are therapy dogs. We bring
Therapy
them all
dogs,
over
sorry,
to.
yeah.
No, it's fine. Just
Yeah.
so people know.
There's a distinction. Sorry.
Yes. So he, my wife takes them to all the elementary schools. It's really funny. I was
Oh
at
my
the
God,
I was
I
at the
always
gym.
wanted to do that.
I
You
was at the
should do
gym.
it.
You
You
should.
should do
You
it.
should. I think it is very rewarding. I think you would really, especially with Goldens, because they're
Oh, yeah.
like, they love every person. There's no, you could rob my house with ham and no one would, like, they're not guard dogs. It's funny too, because I was at the gym the other day and there was a girl who was wearing a t-shirt of a school that I think my wife had just been to. I was like, oh, is that this one? And she's like, no, it's that one. And we were talking. It turns out that I taught her when she was in the 7th grade. So here we are talking.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh, but my wife goes to your school every once in a while. I was like, she brings our dogs. And she goes, are those your dogs? Oh my God. And she started having, there's like it's like the Target lady on
Yes.
the SN. I was like, oh my
Yeah,
God,
I know
it's a
exactly what
match.
you're talking about.
Yeah, like she was like, but no, I mean that reaction to see like, oh my God, that's so awesome that people react that way to 2 dogs that have more Instagram followers than possibly this podcast. But no, it's definitely a rewarding experience for me to be able to, I actually don't. My wife is the one that's the handler, and my kids are also they're going through the certification too, so they could take the
Oh
dogs.
my God, I'm totally
on
going to reach
service
out to
visits.
you about.
You
I've been
should.
thinking of doing something like this.
How
Yeah.
old is your Golden? Not to be
He's 3. Sunny
perfect
Sunday.
age. Perfect age. Because we have one that's 6 and one that is 3.
Okay.
So and we started them for when they were very young, but it's definitely that I would refer you, Jodi, to my wife, who is
The
the
expert.
the CEO of all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's actually funny. She was looking through her paperwork and getting everything to like send to the therapy dog organization. She's like, how many visits do you think I've been on since 2023? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, I said 60, and she goes 125.
I was going to say, I bet you it's more than
like,
that.
that's amazing. So that's what,
Yeah.
my wife has a flexible schedule like you do to be able to go and, bring the dogs into elementary schools and go to, hospitals and stuff like that for programs.
I know.
No. So yeah, I will definitely connect you with my wife on the therapy dog side of things. That might be another activity you could do to balance things out, right?
Oh my
to
gosh.
be able to bring the dogs
Seriously, I would so love it. And I think about it a lot.
Yeah.
But I never knew anyone that did it or how to get into it.
Oh yeah, my wife can give you all the information.
Oh yeah,
And
she's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to bring up a hot take topic that I would like to bring up. Okay, so you mentioned tips, Nicholas Creamy tips, right?
Yes.
So did they have like the jar out on the
Yes.
thing? Okay, cash only tips, right?
No, they can actually do it on their credit card too.
They could do it on their credit card, so
Yeah.
they could write it on the credit card slip, or is it turn around the iPad and hit a button?
It's the turnaround.
Okay.
It's not even a turnaround. It's just in front of them.
Mhm.
Okay,
And so I think it's like 10%, 15%, or you can manually put in your tip.
okay.
Like $1 or something.
Here's the thing. When
Okay.
I go to the ice cream place, I'll tip out the wazoo. I realize those kids are going to college and they're doing
Yeah.
their thing. But I have this rule now that if I am, except for an ice cream place, if I'm standing, I'm not tipping.
Okay.
Okay. And here's why. And a friend of mine told me this story that he went to a local like microbrewery place in New Jersey.
Yes.
Right. And actually down in your, it was Last Wave, as a matter of fact, which I believe is down in your neck of the woods in that area. Last Wave it's one of the ones that's down there. I forget what town it's in. But he went there and he went to like, oh, I'm going to get a 4-pack of whatever. He walks in, goes to the counter, says, oh, can I get a 4-pack of blah, blah, blah? Okay, fine. Girl turns around, opens up the little refrigerator glass thing, takes it out, puts it on the counter, rings him up, turns the iPad for a tip. And why does that bother me so much? That's the regular job. That's the regular, it wasn't me, it was somebody else, but that's the regular job that someone does, right?
Yep.
if I'm sitting down and someone's delivering something to me, if I'm having lunch somewhere, if I feel that someone has went, of course, above and beyond, I'll tip and I'll leave things, of course. But like, I just feel like it's so egregious sometimes to
I
like
don't
turn
disagree.
it, like, and you are also in a space where you're dealing with both, right? You got the tip
Yeah.
jar up on the counter, right? And you got the iPad spin around thingy. You put your
I love
tip in.
that they have the option though, especially because like as we move more and more to being a cashless society, I
Yeah.
think the option of being able to do that is great. I think
Yeah.
does it, kind of come up sometimes when, right? And then do you feel like awkward to say no, or
Me?
I always feel really awkward saying no.
Yeah.
I'm like you though, where I'm trying, you're telling your story and I'm trying to remember where I was. I just did zero because, and I didn't tip. And it was exactly what you were saying. I don't even think
Yeah.
she handed me anything.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying.
just-
Like,
It was
it's
just,
things
and
like
I was
that.
like, no, I'm not tipping. And I come from a
Right.
business where we of course want our kids to make the tips that they make. And,
And I work, look, I worked as a waiter and a bartender. Like
Yeah.
I get it. Like, and when you're a waiter and you go out like to a restaurant with other waiters and bartenders, you
Yep.
know that you tip like ridiculous because that's
Yeah.
just what you did. That was like the unwritten rule. Like, you tipped too much because you knew what other people were going through and you always took care of your own, if you will, right?
Yeah.
But in this like this, I don't know. I know I sound like the old man yells at cloud, film at 11. That's
Do
like,
you tip when you go to Jersey Mike's?
I don't really go to Jersey Mike's very often.
I love it. I was just thinking yesterday I went out for
But
lunch.
no, like that's
and which
the,
it's not
that's
something
the
I normally do.
like,
And they made me very Jersey Mike style. It's a place here in our town called Subs and Co. And
Okay.
I got like a tuna salad tub thing, and I didn't tip, nor would I have thought to tip.
Yeah.
But also I think sometimes maybe age has something to do with it, or depending on, right? Because if it's kids, I feel a little bit differently for them.
Like I said, I spent
know.
4 summers of my life working at an ice cream shop growing up, and tipping was such a big part of that place.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
and the ice cream. And I think it's what you're saying. It's like, I also think the creameries are all in smaller communities, right? And so the community, it's one of the reasons why we love hiring the kids. They love seeing their own behind the counter and seeing them working. And like, it makes everyone feel good for all the things that we talked about on this podcast too, right? Like, you want to see kids working, you want to see them getting the experience, all the things. I can empathize with you guys and say, I really struggle with the tipping thing too, of, if I'm at a coffee shop and the baristas make me coffee, I do tip, but there's a bakery that I love so much. Bakery items by the end are really expensive.
Yeah.
And if someone is just putting I just bought a cake and then some muffins, and they put it in a bag and hand it to me, and then 20%, that might be a $16 adding onto your bill. That's significant.
The thing. And again, I'm not trying to be like, I over tip my barber because, like, it's a service, it's a skill that I cannot provide for myself.
Right.
Like, there are certain things that I just feel like,
I don't know. The man washed my window at Wawa the other day. I went to get gas, and I
know who you're talking about, and he is the nicest young man.
And I was like, oh my God, I don't have $1, and I'm my dad, and it's 1987, and you always give $1 to the person who just washed your window, right? I felt like so much guilt. I can't even tell you.
Well, I will say this much: if I go into Nicholas Creamery, I will tip the children that work there, for sure, a lot, because. No, I even when I go, like, we have a Carvel here in town, right? I take my daughter there every once in a while, and she knows some of her friends. And I always say to the one girl that works there that she became friendly with, I was like, you should really put a tip thing on the credit card thing, because I never carry cash.
Right.
And I would want them to do that, because it's an ice cream shop. It's 16-year-old kids. They're saving for college. They're trying to put money aside. They're making minimum wage. Like, I think that's a good thing for them. So, but yeah, we're going to have to go down. We're going to have to get Bouncing
Field
Act podcast on the road and go get some sweet corn ice cream, and I'm gonna make Jamie try it, even though she's gonna be like,
She's gonna love it. I gotta tell you,
know.
we get requests all year long for it. That people are always nervous to try it, and then when they always say they can't believe it, like once they taste it and how much they love it.
What's your favorite?
Yeah, that's a good question. That peanut butter one sounds really good. But anyway,
Is it like your kid? Like you can't pick a favorite?
No, I just feel like there's been so many that I love.
Wouldn't it be amazing if she said? Wouldn't it be amazing?
Blueberry.
Wouldn't it be amazing if she said, "I don't eat ice cream"? Wouldn't it be amazing if she said that right now? I just don't like it.
I know.
I'm sorry.
I really tend to go for more of like the fruity. Like I love the lemon buttermilk blueberry. I love oh my gosh, like we have a goat cheese cherry. So it's goat cheese ice cream with like really tart cherries in it.
I would like that.
We did a lemon bar that I loved. That was like lemon
I'm
bars.
not a big lemon person, but I do like lemon bars.
Yeah.
For sure.
Our key lime pie.
Oh,
So
but Jason
good.
would like that. Yeah.
So good. Right now we have one. I did we're doing our Halloween Nicholas Creamery series for the Halloween.
I love it.
And so one is called Devil's Kiss, and it's a mango habanero ice cream. So we get that like fruity, mango, smooth, creamy, and then right when it like hits your throat, it's like this just little burn that you get from the habanero pepper.
Interesting.
So good. So
Nice.
good.
Well, we're going to have to take Balancing Act on the road and go down to...
I love that idea.
Yeah, we should do that. Absolutely. Well, Jodi, I can't thank you enough for wanting to join us today. We appreciate you. And
we appreciate you, Jodi. Thank you so much.
Yes, and I appreciate you, Jamie.
you guys having me. This is so much fun.
Yeah. But so everyone, definitely check out Nicholas Creamery at all of their various locations, which will be tagged down in our episode.
Yeah.
And also on Instagram. What is your Instagram handle again?
It's at Nicholas Creamery.
At Nicholas Creamery, and the website is www.nicholascreamery.com. Yeah, check them out. They have lots of fun things. Support a local business if you're in Central New Jersey because they're awesome. And
Southern, right? Southern. What kind of New Jersey are you? Are you?
Listen.
Central. Are you central?
I'm a central guy. We're technically, people say that anyone north of the Driscoll Bridge is North Jersey, and anything south is South Jersey.
Oh,
being a geography teacher, that's wrong because there is a Central Jersey, which is set like Middlesex County is where we live.
Yeah.
So like middle of the center.
But if they're Monmouth.
Yes.
Then aren't they South?
Jersey. They're South Jersey.
There you go.
Oh, okay. South Jersey.
Yeah.
I always think of Cape May as South Jersey.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But then there's like really South rural Jersey.
It's true.
Piney Jersey. That gets a little weird. Okay. Well, Jodi, thank you very much for joining us. And everyone, we'll see you next time on Balancing Act Podcast.
Bye, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
So you can stay.
Look for the Balancing Act podcast every week on your favorite podcast platform. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Thank you for being a part of our audience. We appreciate you.